4th, 2022 meeting of the Iredell County Board of Commissioners. I want to wish everyone a happy new year. And at this time, I would ask if you would please bow your head and ask the Almighty for his continued protection and provision of our nation, our state, and our county. And especially lift up those who during this holiday period lost family members for a variety of reasons, particularly some of our employees. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One nation, under God.
All right. Ms. Moll, would you please run down any adjustments to the agenda?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chairman Mallory. We have the removal of economic development from closed session, and then we have some informational items for new business, which is a COVID update, and then just some comments regarding some losses in our community over the past several weeks.
Okay. Any further adjustments to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda as adjusted?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Halp. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Those opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. For the record, I do want to mention that Commissioner Norman is joining us by telephone, and there is about a 5-second to 6-second delay between when we'll call for a vote and when his response comes across audibly. So that's why there's sometimes this sort of unusual pause after a vote, because we're waiting to hear his voice. Running down the agenda, there are no presentations this evening, nor are there any appointments before the board. We do have 3 public hearings. So the first public hearing, item 7.1, is a public hearing to consider a request from Michael Halapy to rezone approximately 44 acres along Myers Mill Road. And our planning director, Matthew Todd, will go ahead and tee this item up in the next one.
Good evening. The first rezoning request we have for us tonight, as the chairman stated, is on Myers Mill Road up toward 901. It's approximately 44 acres, and currently it's zoned R20. You can see on the map that this R20 came from a non-owner petition back in 2000. It seemed a lot of the interest at that time was to keep mobile homes out of that particular area. It's pretty common throughout the county that these non-owner petitions came forward. The current property owner has owned it a few years and actually wishes to operate a commercial kennel on the property. Commercial kennels are not allowed in the R20 zoning, so in order to accommodate him, he does need to rezone it to the RA, which allows for the kennels with certain requirements. Throughout the process, it changed from a straight rezoning because of some concern from some of the neighbors to a conditional request. He has added the condition specifically to exclude mobile homes, mobile home parks, accessory mobile homes from those that are typically allowed in the RA. So this would very closely match the current zoning, and it seems to have satisfied those concerns that we'd heard early on. Staff is supporting this request. It matches the 2030 Horizon Plan with the agricultural residential designation. The size of the property, and the fact that it's on the edge of the existing R20, so if approved, it would border between RA on the backside and R20 on the sides and the front. And with those conditions, it does safeguard those concerns that were expressed. Just a copy of the land use plan showing agricultural residential. There is a current home toward the back of this property, and that's close to the area where they plan to build the kennel. Just a few pictures. That is the site. You can actually see the driveway a little bit there on the right. Looking south on Myers Mill, directly across, and looking north up toward 901. The planning board also voted unanimously to recommend in favor of this request. Happy to answer any additional questions.
Are there any questions or comments from commissioners? No? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing. I will note that no one has signed up to be heard on this matter. I would inquire if there's anyone here present tonight that missed the sign up but would like to be heard. Hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask if there is a motion.
I'd like to make that motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the zoning map amendment and to make a finding that the approved is consistent with the adopted 2030 Horizon Plan, and that said approval is reasonable and in the public interest and follows the goal of the 2030 Horizon Plan because it is contained within the agricultural residential designation. It is a sizable property that lies at the edge of an existing RA zoning district, and conditions of this request aim to safeguard the surrounding homeowners.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are unanimous. Motion passes. I think anyone that was here for that particular hearing, Mr. Hapley, maybe? Halapy?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you can go home if you want. Okay, thank you, sir. Good luck. Okay, item 7.2 is a public hearing to consider a request from Howard Bryan and Chad Puckett to rezone approximately 8.42 acres along the interior of Flower House Loop. Okay,
Yes, this request, you can see outlined in blue on the screen, is between Flower House Loop and 77 near exit 42. The staff does support this request because it does match the 2030 Horizon Plan that calls for this area to be corridor commercial. With the properties, again, location adjacent to the interstate and Flower House Loop, and with the conditions matching the property that's been rezoned to the north, and additional conditions that were added to address some of the concerns. This is the 2030 Horizon Plan. You can see the area in question is designated as highway interchange commercial. Aerial of the property shown it's currently wooded. There was a house on the northern parcel that has been demolished, and actually it was added as a condition at planning board, but has been demolished since that meeting. This conditional request, again, there were some excluded uses similar to those rezonings to the north that have happened over the last few years. And they also had a condition specifying that any roll-up doors or garage doors associated with mini storage would not be on the front of any buildings. At the planning board meeting, because of some concern from the adjoining property or the properties across the road, there were some additional conditions that the planning board recommended, and the applicant took those back for consideration and brought it back at the following planning board meeting basically agreeing to those 3 additional conditions, which stipulated that the abandoned home be demolished, made some stipulations on the size of the vegetation that would be planted, the landscape requirement along Flower House, and that a decorative metal fence would be placed along the front of any storage facility. They agreed to those 3, and then they also added 2 additional ones, and that had to do with any outdoor storage or rental vehicles would be stored in the side or the rear of the buildings, and that they would also add a minimum 3-foot berm in that roadway yard along Flower House Loop in front of, again, any mini self-storage building. So a couple of these are specifically related to mini storage warehouse, even though there could be other uses on this property based on the rezoning. But some of those would not apply if it was developed for something other than mini storage. Just a few pictures. Property's on our right. This is looking north on Flower House. Directly across, this is on the northern end. This is toward the southern end of the parcel, looking at Hawks Landing subdivision. And then looking south on Flower House, property's on our left, and at the, as far as you can see on the road is where Hawks Landing is. Looking at the current site. Planning board also voted unanimously to support this one with those added conditions. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from commissioners?
I just had one. That has always been slated in our 2030 horizon as commercial development, has it not? Or since our 2030 horizon?
Yeah, since 2009, it has been identified as future commercial property.
Right.
And that designation as commercial predated any residential development in the area, is that correct?
Specifically with the Hawks Landing subdivision, it was in place before that subdivision, yes.
Any further questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Public hearing.
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry.
Now, thank you very much. No one had signed up. I opened the public hearing, and no one signed up. I would inquire if anyone present would like to be heard. Hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion now.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion. And that motion is to approve the zoning map amendment and make a finding that the approved is consistent with the adopted 2030 Horizon Plan, and said approval is reasonable and in the public interest, and furthers the goal of 2030 Horizon Plan because the development is contained within a corridor commercial area. It is adjacent to I-77. It is between other commercial uses along Flower House Loop. The request is to condition for the submitted applicant to limited DB uses and additional conditions to be used. The request aims to safeguard the surrounding landowners.
Motion by Commissioner Norman. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Bryan, former Senator Bryan. Yes, you can go. You're dismissed.
What's your board? Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll now move on to administrative matters that are appropriate for a consent agenda. These are typically items of, that are brought by staff that.
We have one more public hearing,
Oh,
economic
yeah, I
development.
just am blasting through this, aren't I? All right,
Appreciate you trying to get us out early.
You're all right with hurrying.
we have item 7.3, which is a very important one. Jen Bozer is here to tee up a public hearing to consider an economic development incentive for Project Buck.
Thank
I'm
you.
surprised you weren't standing up, waving your arms.
I kind of was. But I just
She would
gave
start
it a
jumping up and
moment.
down in a minute.
Thank you so much, Chairman Mallory and members of the board. I'm here to present an economic development incentive request for Project Buck. Chad Thomas was the primary lead for this project, could not be with us tonight because he was in the town of Mooresville doing the same presentation with the Board of Commissioners. Iredell EDC is pleased to present Battle Co-Packing, also known as Project Buck, for consideration for an economic development incentive grant for the construction of a new 128,000 square foot facility in the town of Mooresville at the Deerfield Business Park. Battle Co-Packing, a new business venture for Battle packaging, that plans to provide services to both new and current customers of Battle Packaging. Battle Packaging is based in Atlanta, Georgia, and has been operating in the beverage packaging sector for over 40 years. The Mooresville facility will service beverage brands by filling various types of drinks ranging from classic soda, flavored seltzers, energy drinks, and ready-to-drink alcoholic beverages. The investment will include purchasing advanced equipment, and the facility is expected to be completed by December 31st of 2023. In accordance with Iredell County's economic development policy, Iredell EDC requests an economic incentive grant to Battle Co-Packing, for up to $263,665 based on a capital investment total of $13,624,000 and the minimum creation of 10 jobs up to 20 jobs. The grant is performance-based and would be payable over 5 years at 75% of the new assessed tax value. Payment for the incentive is tied to the new increment assessed value generated from the private investment by the company. As mentioned, the town of Mooresville was considering a request and did approve that incentive this evening. On behalf of Iredell EDC, I want to thank the Board of Commissioners for your consideration of this grant, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Bozer. Are there any questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing. No one has signed up to speak. I would inquire if there's anyone present that would like to. Hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask if there is a motion.
Yes, I'd like to make the motion to approve an economic incentive up to $263,665 over a 5-year period based on the company's investment of up to $13,624,000, the creation of up to 20 jobs, and contingent upon a contract being executed within 180 days.
Motion by Vice Chairman Nieder. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Norman?
I'll say it again, aye.
Oh, okay, aye. Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. I know you were in suspense.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year. Your staff for the great work that they've done this past year. I think this last year was a banner year in terms of number of projects and dollar amounts on the horizon and jobs created. And I know there's an awful lot in the pipeline. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to administrative matters that are appropriate for our consent agenda that we reviewed at our pre-agenda meeting. These are typically items that are brought by staff that are technical in nature or deal with the budget amendments and such. And so I'll ask our county manager to please summarize those.
Thank you, Chairman Mallory. The first item is a request from the Finance Department for consideration and acceptance of an initial offer for the Harmony Highway property in the amount of $35,000 and authorization to begin the upset bid process. There was a request from the Finance Department for consideration and acceptance of the highest upset bid offer for Bluefield Road Surplus Property in the amount of $2,150,000 and to close the upset bid process. There was a request from the Finance Department for approval to amend the Jennings Park Project Ordinance for the same amount of money, and this is taking the proceeds from the sale of Bluefield Road and putting that into the Jennings Park, which is taking money from one recreational facility that we are selling and investing it back into another recreational facility. There is a request from administration for approval of budget amendment number 29 in the amount of $950,000 to amend the Facilities Improvement Fund Ordinance and to award a contract for the Government Center South Parking Lot project to Bell Construction. And then finally, there was a county construction project update, and that was just for informational purposes only, and no action was taken on that item.
Is there a motion concerning to adopt our consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Howe. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Moving through the agenda, we do not have any announcements of any vacancies occurring on any boards or commissions this evening, nor do we have any appointments. Is there any unfinished business? None. This is not a public comment period meeting. New business. I would ask if any commissioners have any new business. Then I'll just wrap up fairly quickly. I want to just give a quick update on our COVID numbers and the number of cases that are in Iredell County, and especially the impact on our hospitals. As everyone is no doubt aware, we're in this mixed variant environment where there's some Delta cases and new Omicron cases. Omicron being significantly more communicable than previous variants. And so we have experienced what most of the rest of the country has experienced, which is a rather significant uptick in cases and hospitalizations. We have not yet experienced the number of deaths that we have in some previous surges, but that's a lagging indicator. And that's the last indicator that comes along. The total number of cases that since last Tuesday, in the last week, have totaled 1,725, which is a 226% increase. And we've had 12 deaths, which is a 300% increase from where we were prior to this surge beginning, really. Our positivity rate is running at 20%. And what that means is that 1 out of 5 people is likely to be carrying this virus and can be communicable. And everyone, I'm sure, has seen the reports and understand that Omicron hopefully is a less dangerous variant in terms of its medical consequences. Apparently, it does not, as easily as Delta, infect the lungs, the lower respiratory tract. but is very prevalent in the upper respiratory tract, your nasal cavities, your mouth, your throat. And so it's very easy to communicate it, but hopefully the symptoms are less severe. And what's clear is that being vaccinated doesn't mean that you won't get Omicron. If you are in close proximity to someone who is communicable, you will probably get it. But if you're vaccinated, chances are you won't be hospitalized. If you're not vaccinated, you're just taking a greater risk of hospitalization. You may not be hospitalized. It is hitting children more than the previous variants have. But what is concerning and what is the real focus that I've had over the last almost 2 years is the concern over hospitalizations, because we have a limited capacity in terms of our hospital beds and the availability of hospital staff to be able to treat people. And so 2 years ago, we talked about the importance of flattening the curve, trying to spread this out some so that we don't overtax our healthcare providers and our health department. Well, last week, just on the 3rd of January, which was this past Monday, the total hospitalizations in Iredell County was 77. Out of that 77 in our hospital, because we're a regional, we provide regional services to other counties, and we have 3 hospitals in Iredell County. Out of that 77, 70 were from Iredell County. Now you compare that to previous surges, there was a larger percentage of folks from out of the county than there are right now. So today, in one day, total hospitalizations have gone from 77 to 91. The number of Iredell County residents that are hospitalized has gone from 70 to 82. That's a 12 increase in one day. When you look back at the last surge that we had, which was in the fall, we had a higher hospitalization rate in the fall than we did last winter. And the most that we had, the top number was 82 from Iredell County hospitalized. And we're at that point today. Unfortunately, I fear that that number is going to go up. The total number of folks that we had hospitalized in the last fall surge, the top number was 103. And 82 were from Iredell County. So now we're at 82, but 91 total. So chances are we're going to exceed the last surge's number of hospitalizations. So we need people to do whatever they can do based on your personal decisions to protect yourself and your family and your coworkers, to do what you can based on what you believe is the most effective way to limit this spread within your social and family circles. And I know that there are folks that generally fall into 3 broad categories in this county, and after 2 years, most people are pretty well settled in what their positions and beliefs are. And there's a lot of folks that have been vaccinated and wear masks at the appropriate times and appropriate places. And I think that they have done, from my perspective, everything that can be done to try to mitigate the effects of this virus. That's not to say that even with those measures that you're not going to fall victim to it, though. But I believe that you've done everything you can to minimize your risk of hospitalization. There's other folks that have taken the vaccine but don't like masking. And Omicron is, because it's so much more communicable, the cloth masks that people used early on in earlier variants are simply not as effective. That if you are going to be looking to provide real protection to others and to yourself, you should be looking at a KN95 5-ply mask or at a minimum, a 3-ply surgical mask. That cloth masks are just simply not proving to be as effective. They're better than nothing in my view, but they're not as effective as they were against the original variants. And then there's folks that strongly believe that vaccines are not for them and that masking isn't for them. I would encourage you to just try to protect yourself as best you can. If you believe that anyone's getting sick, the key is to be tested as soon as you can, and then to isolate or quarantine, as the case may be, so that other people, you minimize that risk of transmission. And if we all do what we can do based on our beliefs, then I think it probably settled out. But we all should have the same goal, which is to minimize hospitalizations, because that will minimize the number of deaths. But people just don't drop over from this. They're usually managed, they're going through the hospital on the way. And I hope that we are not going to have a significant number of folks that are not going to be with us. But we've lost altogether too many people as it is. 356 Iredell County residents have passed from this disease. That's not the flu, ladies and gentlemen. It's real. But we can all deal with it based on our beliefs, and I just pray that everyone will be protected. Any other comments? Okay, thank you for indulging my remarks. County Manager's report.
Thank you, Chairman Mallory. Just a few things to report. Right now is our property tax listing period. It is from now until the end of January, the 31st. So please make sure that you list all taxable property, because it is required by North Carolina general statute. And any property that's not listed or is listed after the required period, it is subject to mandatory listing penalty equal to 10% of the tax due. So just a reminder, January is listing time with the tax assessor's office. Also, the month of January is National Preparedness Month, and we want to make sure that our residents are aware that we have a notification system called HyperReach, which if you will go online, or you can call, you can actually call 980-829-0101, and you can text to that number the word alert, and then you can enter your address and your telephone number, and it will call you, it will text you, or email you alerts regarding things that are going on in the county and preparedness, like if there's a storm watch or tornado warning or tornado watch or something going on in a geographic area, it will notify you of what's going on in that area. So we just want to encourage people, you can go online and read about it under our news and stories, and look under preparedness, and it gives you all the information of how to sign up for that service. It's important for our residents to stay informed, and we have a mechanism that's out there, and we just encourage our residents to take advantage of it.
Yeah, we don't know people's cell phone numbers.
We don't know. So, and we don't call it unless you give it to us. Yeah. So anyway,
The old days of the phone book and everybody had a landline, those are gone. So.
Manager Moore, would you share that number with us one more time, please?
Yes, it's 980-829-0101. You can call that number, or you can also text that number, and when you text it, type in alert,
Okay.
and it will go through the prompts for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then the final thing to report is that we have the following openings on boards and committees. We have an opening for a public member on the Board of Health, an opening for the Child Fatality Prevention Team for a parent member. Industrial Facilities and Pollution Control Financing Authority, we have an opening on that board. We have an opening on the Nursing Home Advisory Committee, and finally, we have an opening on the School Facilities Task Force. Anybody that's interested in serving on any of those boards and committees, you can go to our website, get the application, or you can call county offices and we can get you an application. Just need you to fill that out to be considered to serve on one of those boards or committees. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Mull. We did have a closed session and discussed an attorney-client matters pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A3. There are no actionable items to report on that. At this time, I'll ask if there is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Houck. All in favor, please say aye.
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 I think I heard him.
He said aye.
He did? Okay. Well, we are unanimous. We are adjourned.
A long time ago.